What's up, Cowboys Nation? This team, your team, is doing everything it can to get better. The Dallas Cowboys are pushing hard to take that next step. After falling short in 2024, they're tweaking, building, and investing. And more importantly, they're trying to keep their stars in place while adding new ones with serious upside. We've got two major stories today: an update on Micah Parsons' contract situation, and a huge comparison that just came out about new receiver George Pickens before we dive in. Do us a quick favor. Smash that like button to show your support for the channel and the Cowboys. It helps the content get out to more fans and lets us know you're locked in with us for the journey. Let's jump into it. Micah Parsons is heading into the summer without a new contract, and it's starting to raise eyebrows. This has been one of the biggest storylines of the offseason, and as of now, there's no deal in place between Parsons and the Cowboys. And look, everyone knows what this is building toward. Once it gets done, Micah Parsons is going to become the highest-paid non-quarterback in the entire NFL, and frankly, he deserves it. But what's the holdup? On Monday, Cowboys Executive VP Stephen Jones addressed the media and gave the latest on where things stand. His words: "It's a work in progress." He added, "I've never been one to crystal ball when contracts get done. You can be close, you think you're right around the corner, and then they get pushed out. So that's just a work in progress. So let's decode that for a second. This isn't about whether the Cowboys want Micah. They do. This isn't about whether Micah wants to stay in Dallas. He does. This is a negotiation between a player who knows he's elite and a front office trying to find the right structure, and let's be honest, the right number to get it done. Here's where things get interesting. We've seen this before. Just last year, CeeDee Lamb skipped almost the entire preseason while waiting for his extension. Dak Prescott's deal went all the way down to week 1, so it's no surprise that this might drag on. But Micah, he's not playing that game. He's already told reporters that he will not be holding out, no matter what happens with his contract. During the 2025 NFL Draft, Parsons confirmed he'll be at training camp no matter what. He wants to focus. He wants to lead. And he knows that missing time in camp hurts not just him, but the whole team. Here's what he said: "It's extremely important. You really see a lot of players struggle when guys aren't participating in camp and they're getting off to slow starts. Don't want to get off to a slow start. I want to hit the ground running and establish ourselves in this league and get some wins early in the season and be in rhythm. That's the mindset you want from your defensive cornerstone. Let's be real. This isn't just a contract negotiation. This is about building a culture. Micah Parsons is the heartbeat of the defense. He's the emotional spark plug. He's the guy who changes games, rattles quarterbacks, and demands double teams on every snap. When you lock in a guy like this, you're not just keeping a superstar. You're sending a message to the locker room that elite performance gets rewarded in Dallas. It's not a matter of if this deal gets done, it's a matter of when and how much. And I'm telling you right now, when that number drops, it's going to reset the market for edge rushers and linebackers across the league. All right, let's shift gears because this next story is going to light up the comments section. On Monday, Cowboys COO Stephen Jones made a bold, and I mean bold, comparison. He was on SiriusXM's Mad Dog Sports Radio, and when asked about the team's new wide receiver, George Pickens, he said this: "He reminds a lot in our building of Dez Bryant in terms of his competitiveness and what he brings to the field. His edge, let that sink in for a second. George Pickens, compared to Dez Bryant." For those of you who've been riding with the Cowboys for the last decade, you already know what that means. Dez wasn't just a receiver, he was a fighter. A beast in the red zone, a physical mismatch who dominated from 2012 to 2014, posting 3 straight 1,000-yard seasons and leading the NFL with 16 touchdowns in 2014. He was emotional. He was passionate, and he was feared by defensive backs. So for Jones to say that Pickens gives off Dez vibes, that's not just talk. That's belief. Let's not sugarcoat anything here. George Pickens is wildly talented. He makes circus catches. Look routine. He's physical at the catch point, and he can win deep against man coverage, which this offense desperately needs. But he also has a reputation. He's emotional. He's outspoken. He's had issues with effort and sideline behavior. Even back in Pittsburgh, that's part of why the Steelers were willing to let him go. The Cowboys are betting that, in the right environment, with veterans like Dak, Lamb, and Parsons around him, they can manage the personality and unlock the production. And if they do, we might be looking at a top 5 receiving duo with CD and Pickens. Imagine this. You've got CD Lamb drawing double coverage, Brandon Cooks still threatening with his speed underneath, and now George Pickens lining up outside one-on-one, taking shots down the field. Suddenly, defenses can't just stack the box. They can't bracket Lamb every play. They've got to respect Pickens, and that opens up everything. For Dak, for Tony Pollard's replacement, and for Mike McCarthy's entire offense. But here's the truth. This only works if Pickens buys in us, if he shows up to camp focused, if the coaching staff creates a clear role, if the chemistry with Dak clicks. This isn't just about ability. This is about fit. Let's bring it all together. This offseason, the Cowboys are betting on 2 things. That they'll lock in Micah Parsons long-term and keep the core of their defense intact. That they can turn George Pickens into the next version of Dez Bryant and then finally bring explosiveness back to the offense. Both moves come with risks, but both could change the course of the franchise. Micah is a no-brainer. Pay him, lock him up, and build the defense around him for the next 5 years. Pickens? That's the wild card. But Dez Bryant was once a wild card too, and the Cowboys turned that into something special. The NFL schedule release is always an event, but when the league chooses the defending Super Bowl champion to host the season's opening game, they make that choice carefully. This isn't random. The Eagles are the champs, and traditionally the league gives them a platform to celebrate and defend their crown. Now here's the kicker. Since 2004, the Super Bowl winner is 15-5 in those season opening games. So history says Dallas is walking into hostile territory with the odds stacked against them, but that's exactly what makes this matchup so compelling. The Cowboys have spent the offseason under a microscope. After a 7-10 disappointment in 2024, the narrative has been one of doubt and disbelief. The Cowboys aren't contenders, they say. They're done. But then, boom, Dallas pulls off a trade for George Pickens. One of the league's most explosive young receivers is now lining up opposite CD Lamb. That's a statement. So what does the NFL do? They put us on the biggest stage possible. Week 1, primetime, Eagles banner night. And let me tell you, Cowboys Nation, this is not a bad thing. George Pickens, the X Factor. Let's talk about the guy everyone's going to be watching, George Pickens. When Dallas traded for him, the NFL world stood up and paid attention. Not everyone approved. Critics said he's a head case, that he didn't work out in Pittsburgh, that he's high risk. But talent? That's never been in question. And now he's got a quarterback in Dak Prescott who, despite what the haters say, has been one of the most consistent passers in the league over the last 5 years. And most importantly, Pickens isn't coming in to be the guy. That's still CD Lamb. Pickens is WR2. That means more one-on-ones, more opportunities, less pressure. And according to team insiders, Pickens has already drawn comparisons to Dez Bryant in terms of attitude, intensity, and play style. That's big because the Cowboys haven't had a vertical threat with that kind of raw emotion since Dez left the building. If Pickens pops off in this opener, you'll hear it everywhere. Cowboys made the right move. Dak finally has weapons. Watch out for Dallas. But for that to happen, it has to start with Week 1. Dak Prescott. No more excuses. All eyes will be on. Number 4, Dak Prescott has had his fair share of ups and downs. He was an MVP runner-up in 2023, but came crashing back to earth in 2024. Critics say he can't win big games, that he folds under pressure, that he's not elite. Well, what better way to rewrite the story than by marching into Philly and spoiling their celebration? If Dak walks into Lincoln Financial Field and outplays Jalen Hurts in front of the entire football world, oh man, you better believe that changes the narrative in a big way. Look, this isn't about putting up 400 yards and 5 touchdowns. It's about leadership, command, execution. If Dak runs the offense smoothly, avoids turnovers, and leads the Cowboys to a win against the champs, he immediately silences a lot of the talk around his name. And with Pickens, Lamb, Ferguson, and Pollard, or whoever steps up in the backfield, there's no reason this offense can't be elite. Mike Zimmer's defense show us something. Let's not forget about the other side of the ball. Mike Zimmer is back in Big D, and the expectations are sky high. The Cowboys' defense was soft in the trenches last season. They couldn't stop the run, and when the offense stalled, the defense collapsed. But Zimmer's no stranger to building tough, physical, disciplined defenses. Week 1 will be the first test, and what a test it is. You're facing Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, and a dominant Philly O-line. This will show us right away what kind of defense Zimmer's building. The Cowboys added help on the interior with Solomon Thomas, re-signed Osa Odigizua, and used draft picks on young D-linemen like Jay Toya. It's time to see if it all works. Can Mazi Smith finally become the player Dallas hoped he'd be? Can Micah Parsons take that next step from dominant pass rusher to full-on game wrecker? This defense has talent, but it needs to show something on day 1 NFL ratings and betting line. Let's be honest, people love to hate the Cowboys. Every year we hear, "Why are the Cowboys in prime time again?" But guess what? The ratings don't lie. Every time Dallas is on, people watch. It's a love-hate thing, and the NFL knows exactly what it's doing. And Vegas has spoken. The Eagles are 7-point favorites heading into this game. That's one of the largest point spreads of Week 1. So if you're the Cowboys, this is your chance to walk in as the underdog, play spoiler, and make everybody rethink their entire outlook for the 2025 season. The stakes: this isn't just another game. If the Cowboys win in Philly, the momentum is huge. National confidence skyrockets. Media narratives change. Fan morale explodes. Suddenly, instead of talking about whether Dallas will go 8-9 again, people will be talking about whether this team can actually compete in the NFC if they lose. Well, it depends on how they lose. If it's close, hard-fought, and the team shows promise, there will still be optimism. But if it's ugly, if it's a blowout, if the offense looks disjointed or the defense gets gashed, it'll feel like 2024 all over again. That's the weight of Week 1. That's what's on the line. Now I want to hear from you. What's your take on all this? Do you think the Cowboys are moving too slow on Micah's contract? Should he become the highest-paid defender in the NFL? And what about Pickens? Do you see Dez Bryant in him? Or is the hype a little too high right now? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'll be reading and replying. And hey, if you enjoyed this breakdown and you're loving the off-season coverage, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a single update. We've got you covered all year long. Training, camp, preseason, contract news, game previews, everything Cowboys. Until next time, stay strong. Cowboys Nation. Let's get this thing right. Go Cowboys.